Yeah, I'm back, guys. Anyway, I wanted to show you where I'm at on the airline. Been working on it, getting stuff kind of put back in place. I pulled the main wiring harness primary because when it was setting in here in place, these wires were tightly underneath it and they needed to be replaced. They were actually what feeds, they go to capacitor and a capacitor block, and they run down through here. So I rebuilt that. I rebuilt these two. This one here's still got the lid off of it. I'll flip it over here in a little bit and show it to you. I believe my resistor here is going to do fine. I've checked it several times, so it seems to be okay. When I started cleaning the top side of the chassis, I found out that the chassis is actually painted, but most of the paint had deteriorated away, so it was real spotty and splotchy and didn't look real good. So I looked for the best match I could get in paint and found some. I'll show you that in a minute. The other thing I did was these three guys got all new caps inside of them, and basically I just pulled off the outer paper, which came off pretty easy after applying some heat, and then there's a secondary layer that's underneath it like this, and it comes off pretty easy with some heat, and then you're just left with the capacitor itself. You get it started and you just unwind it, get the two ends out, connect those, solder those back onto a new cap, which more fits in here easily. Glue the pieces back together, and then just some hot glue on each end to fill it in, and that's all you've got. Ends up basically a stuffed capacitor. These were real easy. The cans just open up. They had a little bit of wax in them, but they pulled out real nice. The wax was wrapped in a paper. I ended up pulling, they were riveted on, I ended up pulling them off because they didn't want to go past the rivets, coming out real easily. So, and then basically when I put, there's one cap in here and three caps in this one. To fill in this void, I just took cardboard and just corrugated regular cardboard from a box, just cut it up, fit it in there, and it holds everything in place. Shot a little hot glue on it to hold it in place. Got switch all put back on, which I think I showed you the last time it working. So on the volume control, this is the tone control. Now we'll flip the chassis, which is rather heavy. And I'll rotate this around a little bit. And kind of zoom in. This is our rebuilt capacitor block, 5 capacitors in it. One, which goes to the green wires, is completely separate from the others. It don't go to ground. Each end goes to one of the green wires, and then the others have a common ground, and of course they go off to their individual spots. Let's see. Now I took these off. When you take these shields off, there's what holds the the tube shields, they actually are what holds the sockets in place. And I'll flip it back over here in a little bit and show you that. But they're bolted down inside, down underneath with nuts, and they actually go through the sockets right where the rivets would be, and they hold them sockets on. Now the speaker socket had the screws coming up this way, which for a little bit kind of confused me, but then I realized there was this part, little phenolic, that was on the speaker and had no place anywhere on the speaker cord. It was up near the speaker itself and had no place there for it to hook. I could tell by looking at it, and I don't know if you can see it, that there'd been nuts on there. Well, the speaker bolts or plug, when I took them out, had these little, well, they're basically like nuts, except they have no threads in them. They've never been threaded. And they were on there, but they were underneath the nuts. And I think they're actually supposed to go on like this. And what this is just kind of a strain relief. There's a speaker plug. And it sits down like that. And then, which I'm missing is nuts, but that's not a big deal. I've got some anyway, and I can always get more. But it's down on there just to hold the speaker, because they're just individual plugs, wire plugs that plug in here, and that would hold them in place to keep them from vibrating out or anything. So that explains why these were put on. I thought at first maybe somebody messed with it and flipped them over, but here's the tuning condenser. So it is in good working order, cleaned up nicely, as long as I can keep fingerprints off of it. That's one of the biggest problems. Of course, these all go here, and then these hook into the coils, which fit down in these spots here. Two of these go, these two coils, and then this coil here is connected to this one through this wire here, which is probably hard to see, but this wire here connects this coil, and over here on the far end right here is the wire that connects this coil. And we replaced the wires on the grid caps because they were rubber and rotted away. And basically we painted the chassis, and like I said, I tried getting as close to match as I possibly could. Now on those tube shields, like I was saying, they come up through here and are just nutted on. So when you take those off to clean them up, then the sockets are completely loose. So all I had left to do is this socket pulls out, the speaker socket pulled out, it was unscrewable. So you only had 4 sockets to actually drill the rivets out, and that's what I ended up doing, and then just pop riveting it back in. If this gives me troubles, which I don't think it will, but I will, since this wire seems to be able to be soldered, it had been a little bit of drop of solder on it, which is solid. I'll add a little solder right at it's really basically the riveted on connections. The wire itself is in good shape. So what I got left to do is this hook's on the top side. Volume control does, and the wires come up through. I got the wires going. It has to go to the light, which are these guys. They're in good shape. And we just get this capacitor hooked up. I think this one also went underneath. Get them hooked up. Once they're hooked up, then we can start putting in the main harness back in, which is in good shape. This is these two leads here are the filaments, and it just basically fits in somewhere like about there. These two leads will go over here and attach there to the tone control. And then of course the last few things I got to do is I got a little more cleaning to do on the shields that were over the power supply. Or covered the power supply. It needs cleaned. Still, it's basically just dirty. Someone put Coronet 88 on here, which it is not. But they'll clean off and clean that up. That goes over the power supply. And then this one here I started on. Got the top pretty much clean. There's a little more that needs to be done around the edges here. This goes over the tuning condenser and shields everything. The leads for the grid caps come through here, and then so it just needs finished cleaned up. And then of course then we're down to the winding of the two coils that are bad, and I got the wire. It came yesterday finally, so I've got it. I just got to rig up a means of winding them. I used to have a coil winder, but it was old when I got it, and it finally pretty much wore out, bearings on it and stuff, and it was going to cost more than it was worth to even fix it. I'd have to get new bushings turned and stuff for it and everything. But so anyway, that's where we're at. I'll rig up some way and get something worked out, winding the coils, and we'll wind those. And once they're in place, we'll just start putting it back together. Got the coil shields still need to be cleaned up some. These are rather interesting because they don't bolt in. They come up through these three holes up like this, and then bend over and crimp in place. The same way with the coils themselves. They're hooked up the same way, that they actually hook in place by little tabs. This one and this one here and this one here, and they fold over, attach in. So that's pretty much where I'm at on it, and I just thought I'd give you an update on it and let you know where we're at. Probably on the next video I will go ahead and attach in and connect in the coils that don't need to be rewound and get those in place, get everything else cleaned up. And because the two that need to be wound can be put in even after all this is wired up. We'll show what I'm going to do about fixing the primary on this, how we're going to bypass it. The biggest trick will be, and I think I can, there's some components that sits here. There's a cap and two resistors, so I think I can hide my new parts that I'll be putting in there, which is just a capacitor and a resistor, kind of underneath them so they're not as easily seen, and so that kind of keep them out of view. But and I'll just get stuff wired up and leave the coils till last. And I think that's about it. amazingly, every one of these resistors are well within tolerance. They're within, well, all but one is within 5% of what the schematic says it's supposed to be. In fact, 2 are right on the money, and the one that isn't is within 10%. So I kind of lucked out there, I guess. So anyway, that's where we're at, and I guess on the next video we'll be getting some stuff wired in and stuff like that, and I'll show you where we're at on it and keep you updated as we go along. So until the next video, thanks for watching. Thank you for your comments. I know I haven't got back to any of them, and I'm sorry about that, and I'll probably just make a comment reply video. It'd be easier than me going through them. It's just been extremely busy. We're still working on the apartment for my kids. It's getting closer. So we're on the back half of it. We got the front half pretty much done, other than the, some finish work. So working on the back half. Turned out the back wall, which is brick, didn't support anything other than itself, but was totally gone, and the mortar was just nothing but sand. So we had to tear it down, and we just replaced it with a wood wall. So anyway, hopefully that we're getting kind of cooler weather, so we're really kind of pushing on it. Today was kind of a break day and stuff, so gave me a chance to at least get somewhat caught up on this and show you where I'm at. So anyway, I will be getting back to you in another video hopefully soon. So until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.